A ceremony taking place in front of the Neville Public Museum in Green Bay, where a plaque is dedicated to a Liberty Tree honoring America's 250th birthday. Taylor Zebel attended the ceremony and is live in the studio with more details. Taylor.
Cammie, this may look like just another tree, but what you're looking at is a symbol of liberty, remembrance, and responsibility. The ceremony was hosted by the city of Green Bay and the Wisconsin Society Sons of the American Revolution. The dedication of the plaque is part of a national initiative set out to plant 250 Liberty trees across the nation. The original Liberty tree stood in Boston in the 1760s and became closely associated with Sons of Liberty and the growing movement for American independence.
Planting the Liberty tree here in Green Bay connects our community to that founding story. It reminds us that the American Revolution was shaped not only on the battlefields, but also in public places where citizens gathered, debated, and chose liberty.
Tonight at 6, hear why this tree and celebrating America's birthday is extra special for one gentleman whose ancestor fought in the Revolutionary War. Cammie.